It's the pre-season Premier League predictor. It's the predictions for the new season with Shaka, although it's so early and he knows that whatever he says, we will be reminding him of it throughout the new season. So be careful with these answers, Shaka. Are you ready?
I'm not quite sure, given that introduction, Kate.
All right. Well, no pressure. Premier League predictor, winner of the whole thing, winner of the Premier League title.
I'm going to go Manchester City as defending champions. The others haven't done enough to eclipse them. They haven't done enough yet. And if we're talking about speculation around all four, if those signings are completed between the others, and I know we're going to get to the top four, and City completes the transfers that they've been linked with, I still think City are above the chasing pack.
All right, so City in number one. That is the next prediction, the top four. Who's in 2, 3, and 4?
Second place, I am going to go Chelsea. Right, and I'm going to touch on each of these as a right now and speculation. Chelsea continue to be speculated to be linked with strikers, whether it's Romelu Lukaku or Haaland. I think either of those two makes them a whole lot better than they were last season. And even if neither arise, if we're talking about Chelsea right now, I think Thomas Tuchel gets more out of Werner than he did last year. Not enough to eclipse City, but gets a whole lot more to keep them above second and or third and fourth. In third, I have Manchester United. In fourth, I have Liverpool. I give Manchester United the odd, or maybe I am not as convinced by Liverpool because we're still not quite sure how much back to his former self Virgil van Dijk will be. Now, that being said, given the technology and how well it's moved, players recover from the type of injury that he had seemingly without missing a step. But I'm also old enough to remember when that type of injury was a career ender. So there is still that little bit of doubt as to how good Virgil van Dijk will be. Will Gomez have the kind of injury-riddled season that he did last season? What are Liverpool's centre-backs going to look like as a result, given my own kind of uncertainty around those two, which is why I have Liverpool in fourth and Man U above them.
Now, this one's never as nice. It's the bottom three, Shaka. Who is going to get relegated?
Well, the easy answer here is the relegated or the promoted three in Brentford, Norwich, and Watford. That kind of comes with the territory of being a newly promoted team and would be my easy out. But for good measure, okay, I'll give you three more. I'll offer Crystal Palace, Southampton, and Brighton. Southampton and Brighton really finished last season poorly, trending downward. And while they, saying that, like everybody else or like most else in the league, haven't done an awful lot by way of strengthening, certainly haven't spent an awful lot of money. But again, those aren't the only three to have not done so. I just wonder if they can arrest that slide. For Crystal Palace, and as much as I like Patrick Vieira, Crystal Palace has had a toxic dressing room for the last season and a half that has only gotten worse. Whether Patrick Vieira, in his first job in the Premier League, can arrest that and somehow make Crystal Palace a team worthy of staying in the Premier League, capable of staying in the Premier League, is going to be a test for any manager, regardless of his inexperience. That was always going to be a tough ask. Asking that of Patrick Vieira first time at this level in English football is a huge ask. So my easy answer is the three promoted teams, but for good measure, just for UK, I throw in Brighton, Southampton, and Crystal Palace. Notice, Kay, I have not mentioned any of my former teams, any of those teams whose crests sit behind me. That is by design.
I did notice that, but I'll let it slide just on this occasion.
Thank you very much.
Maybe I'll push you on it. We'll see how the season starts. First manager sacked.
And of course, this is always the test. But if I'm a gambling man, and we're looking at managers sacked, you look at clubs and their record with sacking managers. Is there anybody worse in the entire football league than Watford and a new manager in Cisco Munoz? That for me is the easy answer. Watford don't get off to a good start, he'd be out of a job. That's who Watford are. I don't see. It's always difficult picking those because you're asking which club is going to start the season the lowest below their expectations, and that of course pre-season is a tough ask. But Watford, and given their history, this has been one of the easier years to pick a first manager without continually second guessing myself.
All right, a bit more positive now then. Breakout players. You can pick as many as you want, so you can pick just one.
I'm going to go one. I'm going to go Cristian Romero at Spurs. And despite everything that's going on at Spurs behind the scenes, bringing in a young centre-back as they have a player who has top-level and Champions League experience, who has international experience, who is young, who has experience, who is coming into a team with experience around him. I think Cristian Romero coming in from Atalanta for Spurs proves to be this season's breakout player.
Okay, that's a good pick there, Shaka. It's a bit of a negative one again. Flops. I mean, for flops, yeah, let's stick with players.
For flops, I'll go back to breakout. I'll add another to breakout, and this is around our speculation. James Maddison. I think if he completes that move to Arsenal, exactly what Arsenal wants, a player that I rate very highly. I think if he comes in, he does well. Flops. Now, again, this is a difficult one because are we talking players who have been there and continue to fail to live up to expectation?
Well, let's do that. Let's do players who don't live up to their potential. That's probably a best way of doing it.
All right. Earlier, I said Timo Werner. I expect Thomas Tuchel to get more out of him. Still nowhere near what was expected of him his arrival at Stamford Bridge, but whether that qualifies as a flop, given what we know of Werner, certainly in his time at the Bundesliga, or whether getting a better tune out of him proves to be a success, given what we saw out of him last season, you make your mind up. Nicolas Pepe, for me, is a player that continues to not deliver on so much of his promise. New players coming in, and this is always difficult. I'm kind of thinking Buendia coming from Norwich to Aston Villa. Listen, if Grealish does complete that move to Manchester City, all of a sudden there is a huge focus on him, almost in an unrealistic expectation that he's going to fill those shoes. I'll be honest, that kind of parallel, I don't think it's fair, but I think it comes with the territory. So therefore, I'm not sure that he lives up to the expectation of that new arrival and the pressure that he, because of the timing of it, will find himself in.
Yeah, maybe a little more time, a few more seasons on, could be a very different story if that is the case. All right, not bad. We'll be reminding you of them. Don't worry.
Thank you very much, Kia. No, I can count on you for that.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.